Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, sorry for the crazy hair. Today my husband and I got up early. We're trying to beat the rain in our area. It's been raining here on and off for a week and a half. So we got up early, we mowed our lawn, and I ended up picking all of my onions. It is the end of July here, so that's a little early to pick onions, but because it's so wet, my onions were starting to rot in my garden. So come along with me. I already have the onions picked. We are going to cut them all. I'm going to put them in my dehydrator and I'm going to turn them all into onion powder because they are fairly small. So join along. All right, so we are here with our onions. I got a whole bowl of them here, plus a small pile that didn't fit in the bowl. This is my biggest onion for the year, so they are fairly small onions. Typically, to know when an onion is ready to pick, you will have 3 leaves kind of shrivel up and die. So this would be leaf 1. We lost a leaf here, so that's leaf 2. This one's leaf 3. So clearly this one wasn't ready to harvest. It could have gotten much larger. But we are starting to see some rot, hence the leaves here. For the most part, the ones that I pulled out today, I was able to save. But there are a few in here that the roots kind of rotted off and they're starting to get soggy. So I'm going to chop up as much as I can. I'm going to take as much of the green as well. I'm going to save a few for eating fresh. We do have to eat them relatively soon because none have that protective hard coat around them like you see at the grocery store. So let's get started. So these ones that are a little bigger are going to be the ones that I save for eating, but I'm still probably going to take the tops of them. So I'm going to chop everything, then I'm going to go and wash it, then put in the dehydrator. So these little tips that are yellow, I'm just going to toss those and we'll just compost this all back into the garden for nutrients. And then in the garden, I actually planted white onions. I planted red onions. I planted yellow onions. And then somewhere in here is shallots, which I don't know what shallot actually is, but they're in here somewhere too. So as you can see on this leaf, there's some discoloration. So I'm going to put that into the compost. So as you can see, this is one of my onions that got rot. So he started to rot. We'll just chop that off, chop any of the bad stuff off, and we'll use the rest. But that's why I pulled these onions as early as I did. All right, well, I was hoping we would have enough time to clean all this before the rain came. But looks like it's starting to rain now. So we're gonna move this operation indoors. Well, I'm cleaning onions. My husband's over here starting fires.
Hey, you wanna roast some hot dogs?
All right, so we just made it in the house with all of our onions. I didn't want to do the onions in the house, mainly because of the dirt, but I was able to get them all into a trash bag to hold the dirt in. While we were outside wrapping things up, we also found a few peas in the garden and our first 2 tomatoes from the garden that we harvested this year. So let's finish up these onions and we will get them in the dehydrator, and then we will show you our final product at the end. So I underestimated the amount of onions I have, and we're gonna have to switch it out to a bigger bowl. We'll keep this one in case we need it since it's already dirty. All right, everyone, so we got our onions cut. We've got one giant bowl here and a partial bowl. We still have to get them washed, but first thing I need to do is clean my kitchen because I can't even get to my sink right now. So that is the first thing that we're gonna be doing. Okay, so this is the last of our onions that we need to clean. And as I'm cleaning them, what I'm doing is any pieces like this that are full circles yet, I'm breaking those apart. If there's any greens that didn't get fully separated in the cutting process, I'm also breaking them apart. And that way it will just be easier once we go to put them in the dehydrator. So next we are going to head out to the garage. That's where I have my dehydrator set up. We're going to get the dehydrator filled, and then we are going to get it started to dehydrate. And then we will take a look at what the onion powder looks like when it's done. All right, so we've made it out to the garage. Yes, the actual garage. It is very warm here today. Our area is under a heat warning. So instead of having a heat advisory, I was informed, we're under a heat advisory in our area. So instead of having the heat inside the house, making the air conditioner work that much harder, we decided to move everything out here. It is a garage. We do garage things out here, which is why we are trying to keep everything contained to this one little area, and keep everything clean. So I am going to start filling our racks. Actually, if I could have my husband hold this real quick for me so I can pull these out. So I'm not going to put it directly onto my racks because there are fairly large holes in my racks. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the plastic barrier. I do have some kind of rubbery silicone type barriers, and then we are just going to put the onions on here, trying to make them even. You don't want them to be in one big lump in the middle. But they will dehydrate as you go. If one falls over the edge, It's a sacrifice one because we're in the garage. I'm not gonna pick it up and I'm not gonna throw it back on like I would in the kitchen. So that one's a man down.
What happened?
I got a little crazy and one flew off the edge. So like these missed breaking them up, so I'm just gonna kind of break them up. You don't have to break them up. I just like to because once we get time to blending them to make the powder, it's just easier to handle if they're all in tiny little pieces already. So this is my first tray. I may have to come back and fill in closer to the edges, but for now I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna slide that in. The other thing about dehydrating onions is your entire house or garage is gonna smell like onions. So doing the strong smelling dehydrating outside or under a covered porch or in a garage will help kind of, one, keep the heat out of your house, but two, it will also not make your entire house smell like onions or garlic or whatever odoriferous vegetable you might be dehydrating. So we're gonna just keep filling this. We will come back here at the end to show you the filled trays. So stick around for that. All right, so we have the dehydrator filled. All of the racks are filled. The last 3 racks, I had to use those silicone liners. They are a little bit bigger, so they do have overhang, so we just kind of squish them on in there. So, just lost the onion out the door here while I'm shutting it. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna shut your dehydrator. It's gonna magnetize shut. In the manual for this particular dehydrator, it tells me that I should be doing soft fruits at 113 degrees, soft vegetables at 113 degrees for 8 to 10 hours, hard vegetables at 122 degrees for 8 to 10 hours. I would consider an onion a harder vegetable, but I wouldn't consider it a hard vegetable like a carrot. So I'm probably gonna split the difference and maybe do like 118 and set it for 8 hours. After 8 hours, I will check on it. I do have almost half of a bowl left of onions, so we're just gonna stick this in the fridge for now. And then we'll come out and dehydrate it after these are done. You could also put these in either freezer bags or vacuum seal bags, and you could freeze them. If you pre-measure them for whatever you use for a meal, then they'll be ready to go. Unfortunately, we don't eat a lot of raw onions anymore due to the fact that I just can't eat them. My stomach doesn't tolerate them. But onion powder is okay, which is why we are going to take all of ours and make it into onion powder because we do use a lot of it. So we're going to turn this on. We are going to set the temperature to, well, guess I don't have a 118, so I'm going to choose 113. So, and then it says 8 to 10 hours, so I'm just going to leave it at 10 hours. In 10 hours, I will come back here, check on these, and we'll see what we got. Stay tuned. All right, guys. So I am just getting into the garage to check the dehydrator before I leave for work. These onions have actually been dehydrating for about 18 hours. We lost power yesterday for a significant part of the day, so they kind of sat and did nothing for a long time. So let me show you what we're looking at, and I'm actually going to start it and leave it run while I'm at work because they're not quite done yet. So here's what we got real quick before I leave for work. So you can see they are crunchy, But what you want is you want them to be able to crumble. And as you can see, these are definitely not crumbly. They are still a little soft. So that means they still have some moisture in them. The onions themselves are pretty crumbly. The greens, not so much. So we are going to turn this back on. Also, during our power outage yesterday, we found flies in the dehydrator. So that was another reason I wanted to run it. So I'm gonna turn it again. I'm gonna do it a little higher. And we'll leave it on for 10 hours. And we'll check it after work. All right, so here we are. We looked at these this morning. Mainly we're checking the green stuff because the white stuff was ready this morning. So as you can see, the green parts of the onion crumple right in your finger. So that is how we know they are dehydrated. So I'm going to get them out, put them in this bowl, and then we'll take them in the house and we will make them into powder. All right, so with about half of our onions, we've got this one bowl of dried onions. The one thing you want to make sure of when you're drying things is you check the very bottom of your dehydrator and you get out any little particles because you don't want them to burn when you put the next batch in. So let's move on into the house and get this powder made. All right, so we have our dried onions here. And I'll show you what we do to make them into powder. Don't mind the noise in the background. It's supper time and my husband's cooking. So we are going to fill a blender. I use a blender cup. You're going to fill it full of your dried onions. Put your lid on. Kind of shake them down. They should fall as they blend. Then let this sit for a minute before you open it because it will probably puff out at you a little bit. Alright, so I just added more onions on top of the powder I have and we'll blitz it again. Okay, so I just finished blending our first batch of dehydrated onions. We almost have a full pint, so when we get the second one done, I'll probably transfer this over to a quart jar and put the rest of it in there so I only have one jar. It does look a lot different than the normal onion powder you get from the store because we do have the onion greens in with this. As well as the onion bulbs, and remember we had yellow, white, and red onion bulbs that all went in here, but that green definitely does overtake it. So we will have some delicious onion powder to use this year from our 2025 onion harvest that we had to harvest early because of the ground being so wet. So if you liked this video, please subscribe, hit the like button, share it with your friend, We really appreciate that, and hopefully you stick around and stay tuned for our next adventures. Have a good day.